was younger, I knew law enforcement was definitely something I wanted to do. Not necessarily law enforcement really, but it was more helping people. And at a young age, being a cop was the way to really, you felt like a superhero. You answer every call, you go to every door, and you figure out people's situations. You help them out the best you can. So when I was younger, I thought, as a young kid, I want to be in the FBI. Watching all these TV shows and seeing what they do on TV. When the test came around, the state test to certify you as a police officer, I kind of took it, no expectations on where I wanted to go, just anywhere that picked me up, anywhere that I could help. And the county was the first to call me. So that's where I ended up.
How hard was the test to become a police officer?
So the state test is not more of a hard test. It's more of a, how do you put it? It's not really knowledge. It's more of what you know and how consistent you are. It's like, example, the first question would be, what's your favorite color? You can say red, you can say blue, black. 30 questions later, I'll ask you if you had to get a car in any color you wanted it, what color would you get it? They could look at it that way. I would answer red. My favorite color is red. I want a red car. 100 questions later, they'll say, ask you another question, and they're expecting pretty much the same answer along the same line.
Really? These answers are like they can determine where you are mentally, like what your mental state is,
it's more of a consistent. It's more of a, what's the wording? I can't think of the word right now.
Like logical.
Yeah, if you're in the right mind at all times, no matter what's thrown at you, you're still thinking one way. You know what I mean?
Okay. Is it kind of like, I don't know if you've been to, you ever get those where they pull you out the classroom in school and then you go to like this, you enter this room and I guess she's like the school's therapist, or I don't know what she is, and she's showing you these pictures. Mm-hmm. It's just like, you don't know what the hell it is. And she's like, what do you see here? You're like, I don't know, a bunny?
Right.
And she pulls out another picture. What is this? What does this look like to you? Mm-hmm. You don't know what these images are.
It just looks like it.
It looks something, it's what your perception is. Mm-hmm. So is it kind of like that?
In a way. In a way. I mean, but then again, everybody had a different experience with the test. Mm-hmm. But what I can almost say confidently, it's not really this is difficult test. It's not a big math equation. It's more of a logic and understanding test, really.
Wow. So do you think that this test is basically given in order to understand character?
Yeah, in a way. In a way.
So basically they're trying to train character.
Yeah. It's really the first step of it all.
Yeah. That's a good thing to do, mm-hmm. right? I mean, obviously reality is not like Hollywood. I would say, how many times did you watch Police Academy?
A couple times, actually.
Yeah, right. Is it like that?
Not like
because a lot of people might think, like, Police Academy is going to be like the Police Academy that I've seen on TV.
Nothing you see on TV is what actually happens.
Those are the best, though, right?
Yeah,
Those Police Academy movies.
They got me to where I wanted to be.
Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. It's always that one thing you see or you notice as a kid. Mm-hmm. That sticks in the back of your mind.
Of course.
And you're like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. That was you, huh?
Yeah, that was me. Yep.
That did it for you? Is this like the things that you've seen around you? Or?
It was really, my earliest memory, although I was really young, was 9/11. Mm-hmm. When that first happened. I believe I was in kindergarten, might have been first grade, but I remember my mother pulling me out of class, coming home. I was in the Bronx at the time. So not too far away from where the Twin Towers actually went down. So I remember it was panic. My mother was home crying. We got home, we watched the TV, and what I saw on TV was people running out, covered in dirt and dust and injured and bleeding. And on the other side, you see policemen, firemen, EMS workers running towards where everybody's running away. And I can't tell you what it is, but something about that was just like, it's kind of what I want to do.
Wow.
It's like there's people in trouble and you kind of just, you want to help.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, everybody has a different experience, I'm sure. So that was, what's funny, I would always wonder, how did, like, if when I see a policeman or police officer on the street, how did that police officer, what was his perception of police officers before he became a police officer?
Yeah, like I said, being a police officer when you were young was, oh, the police came to school. Oh, wow, this is really cool. I want to be like them.
Yeah.
You run up to them, you want to take pictures with them. It was the coolest thing in the world. So for sure, that's what I wanted to grow up to be as. But then here we are today, and it's kind of like, it's not all that it was.
Yeah.
And I'm sure society plays a huge part into why it is the way it is now. So, for example, a year before recent events happened, when I first started, I wake up every morning, get dressed, can't wait, go to work. You say good morning to the neighbor, good morning, good morning. I'm in uniform, he's in his suit, going to do whatever he does. And everything's fine. You go to work, you have a good day, nobody bothers you. Now you go out. I wake up at 6 a.m, go to work. You kind of have to open the door, check a little bit. It's kind of like a, just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case. And that, if you want to know how policing is now, it's kind of, in my opinion, that's the way I feel about it. And my wife asked me on my way home, hey, can you go grab a gallon of milk before you get home? Damn it. I have to go home and change and then go back out to go grab the gallon of milk and come back. Because you go to a supermarket and one person doesn't like you there. One person had a bad experience with a cop in their past. And it's the way it goes now.
Isn't that a shame, man? That's the human mind. And the way the human brain works, it astonishes me sometimes. Like, I consider myself to be a law-abiding citizen, right? Try to follow the rules, right? If there's a red light,
stop at the red light.
Right. If there's certain rules out there that require of me as a citizen to, abide by, then I'll make sure that happens. As a married man, as a person who has kids, who wants,
family,
if I want safety for my kids, I want good things to happen to me, so I manifest it in the world by doing good things, because
good karma.
Exactly. So I'm a person who, I have nothing against law enforcement. So the human mind out there, to some people might say, because I support law enforcement, that means I hate black people. That's crazy to me.
It's absolutely insane. It's insane to even think about.
It doesn't make sense. But the reason why of these things that are happening, it all goes back to influence. Now, when we have major influence being manifested into the world by these, black mirrors, the television programming. I mean, they label when we put labels to things, they mean something, right? So television and then programming, because it literally can program the way you think.
Of course.
Now, you have different sides to everything. You have certain outlets, right? Or certain sports, radio or sports TV. They might lean towards liking the Jets more than they do with the Giants, for example.
So what do? You switch to another news channel and they talk about the Giants instead of the Jets.
Exactly.
It's just the way you perceive it.
It's a seesaw. It's a seesaw. And the way I look at it is, meeting you a couple of times, before I ever put a label to you as a policeman, I think of it as, before you're a policeman, you're a man. And then you're a husband. And then you're a brother. And then you're a son. And that goes for every other police policeman
Yeah.
or woman.
It's really any profession in the world.
Exactly.
Anything that you do, any supermarket you walk into and the guy behind the counter pisses you off. He's not just a guy behind a supermarket counter. He's a guy there making money for his family. He's trying to support his kids, his mother, father.
Right.
It's not really a you're just a guy in a uniform and a badge. That's not what police are at all.
Yeah.
Before all this, I was friends with Obada for however long now. I mean, almost all our lives. I grew up in this community that I'm in now with a lot of people that I still am in touch with. You know, we played basketball. We went to college together.
Mm-hmm.
The local mosque over here, ran a few programs together over there.
Right.
And all that happened a few years later was I put a uniform and a badge on. And it's like, you're one of them now.
Wow.
When in reality, I'm just the same guy that everybody has known.
So you spent majority of your life wanting to join this force, and then you enter the force, and then what happens? Like are you trying to work your way up, or what's going on?
Oh, of course. I mean, in the beginning of my career, it was all like, you know, sunflowers, and it was beautiful. You know,
Right.
Last December around Christmas time, my department and I went to a hospital around here that houses like sick children. It's a children's hospital, and we actually walked around the whole hotel. I mean, I keep saying hotel. Hospital? The entire hospital, giving gifts out to every kid that we saw, and it was like a very happy time, not just for them but for myself, because I was like, I grew up wanting to do exactly this, and here I am doing it. You know, putting a smile on every kid's face that was sick in that hospital, taking pictures with anybody that we could. It was definitely a great time.
Right. And then what? Like what? Transition? Something happened in worldly events.
Something happened thousands of miles away from here with somebody who wears a uniform like I do and a badge like I do, and it becomes labeled as all of you now do the same thing. And I mean, I spent a year and a half of my career doing the most good that I can, putting a smile on everybody's face as much as you can. And not just me and every other law enforcement officer in the country.
Right.
You do as much as you can, and then one thing happens thousands of miles away, and it doesn't matter anymore because you're on that side. When in reality, I don't look at a side. It's not my side and your side. It's us. We're one.
Right, and that's a shame, man. It's like if I go inside and I have a very bad experience in a 7-Eleven with one of the cashiers, because he's a representative at that time of 7-Eleven, right? Because when you're working at a place, you are the face of that company or organization. So I get into an argument or a fight over something stupid, right? Now, the next time I go to a 7-Eleven, right, what am I going to say? Well, man, these workers at the 7-Eleven are freaking
You go home, the first
idiots.
thing you do is tell all your friends,
Right.
That 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
These 7-Eleven people.
Yes. And that's a shame. That's a shame, honestly, because we're so taken over by emotions. So, I think that a lot of people forget that the police are the public, and also the public are the police, right? So like the police being a part of the public, but they are being paid to actually involve themselves in between the citizens and establishing law and all these things. So you are, this is the case. This is what it is. It's not like you're an outside entity just belonging to this organization and that's it. No, this is not the way we got to look at it. And we must admit that there are good and bad apples anywhere you go.
Any profession, anywhere you go.
That's the bottom line to it, and it's just it's I hope that anybody can see this for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no.
At the end of the day, I'm just a person. Any other officer is just a person. Everybody goes home to do the same thing every day, just like anybody out there goes home to do the same thing. You go home from work, from a supermarket, for example. You're going to go home, you're going to take a shower, you're going to relax for the day. Guess what I do when I go home? I go home, I take a shower, I eat my dinner, and I relax for the night.
Right. Now, do you sometimes bring into the home the certain experiences that you may have had dealing with, all these situations that you have to deal with as a cop?
Of course. I mean, I think that's just human nature to do.
Right.
You go to work, you have a bad day, you see something you didn't want to see, you argue with one of your coworkers, even if it doesn't have to be with the public. You're going to bring that home. The way everybody deals with it different. The way I deal with it is, I think I told you last time, my wife is like my therapist. So I go home and I tell her, hey, this has happened today. And she listens and she gives me advice, or sometimes she doesn't give advice and it's just kind of like, just let me talk, And then on another day, example, when we went to that the children's hospital, and I can't tell you how happy I was that day. I went home and I think I had that weekend off, and me and my wife just hung out the whole weekend, and it was just the happiest days. It was great. It was like in heaven.
Yeah,
because I did something great. I did something I've always wanted to do, something I imagined as a little kid doing, and I finally did it. So,
how old is your daughter?
My daughter is almost 2 years old now.
Almost 2. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure as a human being, you would want her, or you would want to represent yourself in an image where when she grows up, she's proud of her father, of course. Right? You don't want to be involved in anything that may mislead her in any way.
No, of course. I think that's a given.
Right, with everybody.
With everybody. You have kids, you gotta lead by example. You want them to see good in the world. That way they grow up and they do good in the world. That way when time goes on and you're old enough, or you're old and you can't get out, people don't see you as much. Or when you pass away, what are people going to remember your children as? Her father raised her that way.
Exactly. What's also probably the question that crosses a lot of people's minds is that, like, when you put on a uniform, does it do something to you mentally? Like, look, what I'm trying to get at is Superman, right? He was a journalist. Batman, before he became Batman, he was just a regular, not a regular dude, but he was like this billionaire, but nobody knew who he was. His identity was hidden.
Right.
And all these other superheroes kind of have the same concept, right? Or storyline. When they put on that uniform,
right,
they become this thing, this superhero, right? Do you feel like that when you put on a police uniform, does it change or your
alter my mind?
Yes.
Make me feel like a superhero?
Yeah.
Sometimes yes, and then most of the times no, actually. So I say no because, like I said, this is something I wanted to do growing up. So before I became a police officer, I was an EMT. And before that, I was a volunteer at the local mosque. So helping people is something I've always done, just naturally.
Okay.
If I'm driving in my personal car on a day off and I see an accident, 9 out of 10 times I'm going to stop. Just make sure everybody's okay. That's just how I am. And I'm sure most other officers, you become a police officer and that's who you are in that, for that time. So you're going to stop to help people. You see something happening at a supermarket, you're going to stop. You're going to get involved. Now, when you do put on the uniform, for me at least, is, say, for example, I'm responding to, a kid hurt her leg. A kid riding her bike fell off her leg. She sees police officers come and you can see it in their eyes. It's like, oh, help is here. So do I feel like a superhero in that moment? in a way, it's kind of like, I'm going to help you. I'm here to help you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. You know, it's funny that you said that. Now that I look at it, my perception of police or law enforcement fluctuated within my existence.
As you were growing up.
Yeah. Like, as I was a kid, I was taught that if anything happens, look for if there's any police around, right? Don't talk to strangers.
You know the number to call.
Oh, you know the number to call, right?
Yeah.
Don't talk to strangers, but you know, if something happens, look for police. Then teenage years was a different experience for me when it came to law enforcement, because I was a bit wild. You know, I had a different mindset.
We all went through a phase.
Right. So when I heard those sirens, man, they were like,
you could be doing nothing wrong. You'll run anyway.
Exactly. So my thought process was totally different towards the police. Honestly, I didn't, it wasn't like a hate thing, but it's not like I loved the police during that time. But now, I'm 34 years old. I'm married. I have a 4-year-old. I have one on the way. And those sirens are like, they sound like angelic music. It's so different. It's like, it depends on where you are in your life. And there's a lot of youngsters right now, like the millennials, they're like, with this whole idea of just labeling the whole law enforcement, like, yeah, these people need to be, prosecuted, and we need to do A, B, and C because the treatment of specific. Okay, listen, we all agree there are bad apples no matter where you go. But now the scale of what it is, it's not on an even level. It's not on an, I believe, right? It's not on an even level. I believe that the good outweigh the bad.
Oh, I think I can confidently agree with that.
Yeah. And just because I have this, or I hold this, I carry this idea, does not mean that I dislike a certain group. Absolutely not. Especially, the way I think that, we are all created equal, no matter what it is. But there's certain, like, I believe, like what you do or what these other people do that go out there every day, I wouldn't be able to do that myself. I grew up, I have a best friend who who has an average job, but all his life he wanted to become a police officer. And he was in Florida, and they owned a pizza shop, and and right next to his pizza shop was a police station, and they used to come to the police. They used to come to the pizza shop, and they would all hang out, and they loved my friend. They loved him. So he had actually one of the chiefs of police to write him a recommendation letter.
That's awesome.
He was in.
That's gold.
He aced all his tests. Everything was ready to go. This is his dream. When he came and told his mother that A, B, and C is happening, his mother just burst out in tears. Not because like she was happy of the idea,
right,
but she did not want her son to become a police officer.
Oh, yep.
Because his mother carries these ideas, and she's very old school as well, just like my mom. And she's she wants to be always there for her children, especially when it comes to their safety. So when he told me the story, I was like, wow, I never knew that. I found this out like maybe 3 years ago. He goes like, yeah, man, I just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it to my mom. She was hysterical.
Yeah.
She didn't want me to do it. So that is this situation, man. There's these you go out there and you don't know what you're going to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And honestly,
no day is the same. Nope.
Brother, I mean, people get anxiety because of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do people have anxiety today because of COVID and all this? Because they're afraid of the unknown.
You don't know what can happen. Yeah,
exactly. So I really.
How'd your family react to it? Like you saying that you wanted to become a cop?
Go just like your friend. I mean, my mother did not. She wanted nothing to do with it. She knew all my life growing up. That's what I wanted to do. But when the time came and I scored high on the test and I started getting calls from departments, and she was not excited about it. My wife also, she hated the idea. But then again, I mean, not even as a grown man, but how are you going to tell somebody, I don't want you to follow your dream? You know? Of course you're going to worry about, I worry about my mother every day. If something happens at work, whether it's good or bad, the first thing I do is text a family group chat or text my wife, and, all good.
Wow.
Yeah, all good. And obviously, I mean, this is something I think every cop goes through. It has to be.
Mm-hmm.
On my way to work, I think of things like, while I'm driving, how am I going to tell my family this? God forbid. It's like, God forbid something happens. I get hurt. I get not even terrible. I get in a car accident while at work. How am I going to call my mom and sound calm? One, make them reassured that everything's okay. It goes through my head 24/7, and I'm sure it goes through every cop's like mind throughout their day.
Right.
So they didn't like it, but I'm here, and they know that I'm doing good, and that's really all that matters to me. As long as I'm doing good, and they'll be all right.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. I agree with that. That's funny because I was thinking of, I just remembered something. We had this police department right next to where I used to work at, and they would come in and they had an account with us because they would come in and they would fill their gas, and obviously they don't pay cash for the police vehicles. They have this card, and they would tell me their police number or car number or whatever.
Car number,
yeah,
ID number.
It's like 4 numbers or something like that. Yeah. So kind of like they would get their gas, and so I was friends with a lot of them. And one of them used to come in all the time, and we called him Sticky Fingers. Because he would come in and he would have to take like a Snickers or a Twix.
And you ever tried charging him?
No, man. I just couldn't. Imagine me come and tell a cop, like, listen,
give me $1 for this.
Yo, bro, you put that in your pocket. And all the other cops knew, and they were like, what are we going to do, bro? Like, what are we going to... I tried telling my cousin one time, I'm like, yo, man, it's like I turn around and this dude is putting some Twix in his pocket. Like, and he's like, just let it go, bro. Just let it go. And listen to me. We had, and people think, like, the reason why I said this story, right? Not only to say like good apples, bad apples. Listen to me. We forget that these are not robots applying for these positions. They're human beings. They have their ups, they have their downs, they have their good, they have their bad. You can't just expect to have like these fantasy, fictional characters that are just going to be like, how you doing today?
It's not like the movies at all.
Absolutely not. So this is you know what I wanted to ask you also, you have a TikTok, right?
I do.
So he's laughing. We gotta talk about this.
I know you're gonna bring it up, but don't say it.
So okay, all right. But all right. So you have how many followers?
About a little over 500,000.
Okay, 500,000 followers. So does the department know?
I haven't been spoken to about it, but I'm pretty sure they know.
Yeah, right?
My coworkers have mentioned a few of my TikToks, so I'm sure they do know.
So we'll put that also down in the description for whoever wants to check that out.
Thank you.
So it's something that like you made this one video.
So when I started TikTok, it was in the beginning of the, I guess you can say, downfall of the praising police. It was COVID and police, EMS, and nurses were at the top, the best.
Right.
And then something happens and we become enemies with the public, so to say.
Right.
So the way I looked at it was TikTok was a platform that a lot of young kids were on. And it's always a great thing to, like, a person's mind usually, like, you make up somebody's mind when they're younger, really, is where they start forming their opinions and their biases and what they think about people, what they think about life in general. So I noticed there was a lot of young kids on here. So I said, you know what? Let me get on this app. Let me make a video or two, and I'll do a little dances just like they do. I'll whistle to a beat that people are whistling to, and they can see I'm just like you.
That's it. Yeah,
I'm just like you. And there's videos in uniform and there's videos without uniform, just to show you, like, I'm the same guy. You're following the same person.
That's it.
Just one video I have a uniform on. The next video, my dad's slapping me in the back of the neck. It's funny.
Yeah.
So I made that, and it's been really good. It's actually been really, really good to me. I don't care about the followers. I really don't. And no offense to anybody who watches. I'd follow me or don't. I don't care. Right. My point is I'm trying to show you that I'm just like you. Mm-hmm. And there's thousands of cops on TikTok that are just like you.
Yeah, so true.
So if that platform was the way, for me at least, to build a different relationship with people from what they're used to seeing based on being locked down and all you saw was TV 24/7, so be it. I'm on TikTok. And I love to continue making videos, definitely. And I get on TikTok live every once in a while, and I try to answer every question that comes through. And a lot of them are, why'd you become a cop? Why'd you become a cop? Why'd you become a cop? And I answer them every time.
Right.
There is a reason, and my reason is here. I'm here in front of you,
Yeah.
So.
And we can tell as human beings, also character, also making somebody's job a little bit easier. When I go to a supermarket, for example, and I see this in a lot of customers too, and a lot of people that are out there, like in a supermarket, and the cashier is ringing up, and her job is to also put these items in a bag.
Right.
But what do people do? They actually start helping, and they start
you do it yourself.
helping her putting it in the bag, and because you're trying to make her life just a little bit easier for that day. Maybe we all understand we have this thing in the back of our mind because we all have occupations and we deal with things on a day-to-day basis where we might be going through a bad day or a long day or a hard day. So you know what it's like. So you want to lend a helping hand. And that's the same way I look at it when I'm interacting with law enforcement. If I get pulled over, you know what I do?
What's that?
I turn my car off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I take my keys. I put them on top of the car, the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm letting the police officer know that I ain't going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You don't have to worry about anything, right?
Right.
And when he shows up to the window, I take both my hands and I put them on my steering wheel basically letting him know this is where my hands are.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, man. I mean, you're a police officer. You don't have to say yes or no. Okay? But when I do that, they see it and they appreciate it so much because they understand that, wow, okay. I see it. Like, you know, where there's no, you did, like, I've broken down that wall, you know, because he's meeting a total stranger, and so am I. Mm-hmm. So you have to learn how to break the ice, right? You have to learn how to break the ice. This man is also a human being, or woman. She's a human being, and she's going through a lot, and you don't know what to expect. So when they see that, a lot of them let me go, man.
Oh, yeah. And believe it or not, there's a lot of police officers who actually want to stop you just to inform you or warn you or educate you on why.
Not just giving you a ticket or giving you a hard time.
Example, a few days ago, I stopped a car because a brake light was out, right? I walked up to the car. As you see, your license, registration, insurance, you know. The reason I'm stopping you is because there's a brake light out. And I know you can't see that brake light because you're in the car. Who sees the brake light? The person behind you.
Right.
Just wanted to let you know.
Right.
Went on her way.
That's it.
That's it. A lot of times that's what it is. It's just, I just want to let you know. You know, next time get it fixed.
Yeah.
As soon as you can, because a brake light is a safety hazard. It is. So.
You know, we were in the city one time, and we were driving home after getting something to eat, and it was I think 3 or 4 of us in the car, and the person driving was an absolute lunatic.
A bad driver?
Like, just in general. Okay, and he's zigzagging, and you know, I don't know what type of mindset he had, or even I had, and he gets into an altercation with a cab driver, and this cab driver has carriers. He has his customers in the cab as well. So I don't know. Well, where you going? Oh, why'd you do this? What? So they're like kind of like screaming at each other at one point, and my friend tells me to, you know, fully open the window. So I do, and then he goes, and then like a nice one, like right at him, right? And then they drive off or whatever the case is. And then a lot of the times, boop, what happens? There would be a police officer that witnessed this thing. And our luck, there was. So he gets out of the car. What is that? He pulls us both over. Okay? And he goes, you know, you're over here, you cutting off, you're arguing, and he has his customers in there. What's going on? Why are you driving this way?
Right.
Right? And now it's him and 2 other police officers, okay? But he looks like he's been there for such a long time. He's an older gentleman. But what I'm realizing is he's like, come on, guys. Like, he's telling us, you shouldn't be acting like this. You know, this is so he's explaining to us. At this point, he doesn't even want to give us the ticket. But he's talking to my friend and trying to advise him. What does he do? He lets us go, and then we drive off. And when we drive off, he pulls us back over. He turns on his sirens and pulls us over again. And we're like, what the hell is going on? So he goes, I was talking to the cab driver, and he told me you spit on him. And he's like, oh, no. Yeah. He was like, you spit on the guy? Are you? So now he's like, all right, get out of the car. So he tells my friend to get out. And then eventually they tell us all to get out. And I swear to God, this guy spends 30 minutes out of his time
Lecturing?
just lecturing us on why we are acting like freaking savages. Yet again, it's not about the ticket. It's like he didn't care about giving us a ticket, because at the end of the day, what is the ticket going to teach you? You know, a lot of the times it's not losing whatever it is that you have in your pocket.
Right.
But
It's more of a lesson.
it's more of a lesson. And I was just looking at that cop and I was amazed. I was like, my goodness, man. He is like trying to be like this fatherly figure to us.
Right.
In my
Especially
mind
the
at the
older
time.
folks.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, right?
That
They
happens
have that?
yeah. I have a couple older officers that work with me, and it's definitely a lot of lecturing.
You're going to be one of those soon?
Hey. If I end up there.
Yeah.
No, but definitely teaching people is
That's the key, right?
it's the key. It's just educate them, you know? Let them know why this shouldn't be done, or why you should do it this way instead. How to go about it next time, you know?
Exactly. Make your life and the others easier.
Right.
As well as teaching them the lesson.
So, Mujahid, I wanted to ask you, back in May when there was like a lot of protesting going on, how did that, if it did, affect your personal life, like you and your family, your day to day, just your thought process?
Yeah, I mean, that's not even like really a question. I mean, as a human, when you're receiving so much hate, and I know there's a certain amount of people who can just say, I don't care what you say. But the average human cares what you say, you know? So, for example, I wake up early. I'm getting ready for work. Back in May, June, I'm getting ready for work, and the TV's on while I'm drinking coffee, while I'm getting ready. And it's, police officers this, we need this, police officers should do this. And you know what? You're suiting up anyway, and you're walking right out the door after listening to all that. So when everything was going on, I mean, obviously, human nature, you get upset. The world hates you. You know, the world, you went out, you took an oath, you grew up wanting to do good in the world. That same world doesn't want you anymore, doesn't like you anymore. I mean, you can draw your own assumption. How would you feel? You know, unless you're the 1% of people who just doesn't care. But the average person I know personally gets affected. I was personally affected. It was the lowest I've been in my life. Now, it's not like I went home and I cried every day. It's not like I went home and I was, you know, in a rage and the world hates me, I'm going to go crazy. No, I mean, you just go home, you're upset, you know. You get home and you get home and the TV's still on the same channel that you were watching before you left. And it's after I dealt with everything all day. It's like, okay.
Jeez.
You have no idea. So like I said earlier, my wife was my therapist. And I sat there and I explained to her and I'm like, dude, you know what I'm doing every day. No, I know how you are, and you know, but they're saying this. But you know how I am. You know that I did good. You know that today, after leaving the house, watching the news, coming back home to watch the news again, still talking bad about me, still hating me, I still did good today. You know? So I was upset, of course. And I'm sure many officers were upset. I mean, that's one reason why I started my TikTok. I was like, okay, I got to take it into my own hands now. They hate me. I gotta win their minds and hearts over again. And little by little, we'll get there.
Wow. So you thought about like, let me see, like they're doing their part. When I say they, I mean the media, right? So you took it in your own hands. You said, you know what? I'm not just gonna like be labeled as something that I'm not. So you decided to just like create something fun.
You
right?
can only get punched enough times before you wanna do something about it. You know, you'll only get pushed down enough times where you're like, you know, I'm gonna stand up this time and I'm standing straight. I'm still me. What you're seeing on TV, what happened thousands of miles away, is not who I am.
That's not going to change who you are. Just because
am.
They wanted to seem that way.
It didn't change who I am, and it will never change who I am.
100%, man.
Because I'm still going to wake up every morning and do the same thing I've done since the day I got hired. Since the day I decided I want to dedicate my life to helping people.
So why should it change? Right. Ah, that's amazing, man. Yeah. That's a tough load. Like to be labeled like that in the world and just putting it out there. I'd freaking be depressed.
It's close.
Yeah, right?
It was upsetting. It was.
So you would come home and you would kind of, your wife, You said it's your therapist?
The dinner table, the food was set on the table. We were ready, and it's like, instead of eating, let's talk.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I want to eat. Nope, I want to talk.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
The role of a woman in this world, they say in our culture, they say that a woman has 1 foot in heaven already and 1 foot out.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of all the things that a woman has to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
It's
I'm
insane.
talking about, your wife, she has to take care of the kids and then the house. And then she has to...
She's a full-time teacher, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
especially during this year, teaching from home.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
So then, after all that, big man here comes home. And then after dealing with whatever you have to deal with, now it's what? Now it's like, come listen to my problems for a second, please. No,
Yeah.
Now I want to let some stress off and tell you about how I feel, what's going on. So, man, these women are absolutely amazing. It's I mean, we're not the same.
No.
It's nothing about the difference between our sexual organs, man. I mean, this is day and night.
It's a mental thing.
They're mentally stronger, man.
It's insane. But my 2-year-old cries in the middle of the night. I wake up. I'm like, she's gonna go back to sleep. My wife wakes up. No, I gotta go get her. But I'm too tired to get up. But she just has it in her. 1, 2, 3, I'm up. The baby's hungry. The baby needs changing. I'll change her after this game. No, she needs changing. She'll get up and do it herself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's my wife, for example, and I'm sure many women in the world. My wife is a housewife, a full-time mom, a full-time teacher, and on top of that, she's my therapist. And then me, I wake up every morning. I go to work. I come home, and that's it. I can't do anymore. I'm beat. I'm tired. But a woman, it's absolutely insane.
There is this thing that it's like, when a racetrack, right? What is that? What is that in the Olympics when they race each other? What is that?
NASCAR?
No, physical racing.
Oh, like track, just track.
Yeah, track
and field.
Track and field, right? You know how they're set up? If you ever paid attention.
Yeah, one starts before.
Yeah,
the other.
Exactly. They set up a few ahead of the line.
rest, right.
Yeah, and then why is that? It's because when the gun sounds, as soon as their mark is to go, the way the track is set up is because eventually they'll meet in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the way it's set up, right? So eventually they'll meet in the middle. So that's the same thing. Like the man has the physical advantage, but the female has the spiritual advantage. And that's how we meet in the middle, man. And that's the way life teaches us, because I have this physical ability to take on the world, right? Or in our bloodline, the hunter-gatherer.
Right.
And then the female has all the rest of the responsibilities that I believe mentally and spiritually the man can't achieve. So
I can't get close.
That's crazy, man.
I can't get close.
Imagine now that brings me to the question, like, what about the females in law enforcement? Like,
I can't even. It's. Where do you even start with that? It's being a mother. Well, if you are a mother, being a mother, being a wife to a husband, if you're married, and on top of that, being a police officer, you're dealing with what's going on outside, and you bring that home, but you have to put on this face in front of your husband because you're still a wife,
right?
And it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, because it's like, if you go back in the day, they'll say, that the majority of law enforcement was definitely male, correct? And then as the days went on, and like especially during the 21st century, there's a lot of females taking on this position.
Oh yeah.
And I could only imagine, like, for a man, you know, just trying to deal with, you know, somebody out wrestling them or out running them, or
It takes a toll.
yeah.
It's scary.
Man, I'd really like to sit down with one of these female officers and trying to get their perspective on that.
You know what happened the other day, not in a city nearby from here. A Muslim hijabi became a police officer. She wears a headscarf during work.
Wow.
First, I believe either first or second in the state, but
In
in the state of New Jersey.
oh wow, I didn't even
Imagine
know
that
that.
accomplishment.
Wow. That is something, man.
Mhm.
You know, and then she had to pass the
She
physical
went through the
test
same
and
test that I went through.
like pepper spray in the
Everything.
eyes.
Everything I went through, she went through. Everything every officer goes through, she went through.
And all of these things that you go through during this process to become part of law enforcement, and the physical challenges and the mental challenges and the tests and the up and down and the academy, right? And then later on, after all that, you're labeled as a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
That freaking sucks. That sucks, bro. But there's a lot of people out there who understand, of course, you know, because you have free thinkers out there, and the forgetfulness of the human being, because that is actually one of the superpowers that we have, is we're able to forget. Because if we weren't able to forget, I think we would go crazy and we wouldn't want to even endure this thing called life. You know, when somebody passes away, you have you mourn, you become depressed or sad for a little while, and then eventually that thing that is built within you, the Intel processor, right, is forgetfulness.
Yeah.
So
you realize you just got to go on, move on.
You realize you got to move on. And that's the nature of human being. We forget. We forget about how many times that we needed help, how many times we had to dial those 3 numbers, right? Or our neighbors, right? Or like what you said, like, 9/11, when everybody was running away, you had these people running inside.
Running in,
right? Or firefighters, even the same thing, people risking their lives
EMTs,
on a day-to-day basis.
Running in to grab somebody and get out, and then do it again.
So one thing happens, then all of a sudden, the rest is history. And it's sad because that's the nature of man, right? So it's always good to remind people about just remembering everything else, and not just pinpointing at one thing and then labeling a whole entire community as this one thing,
Right.
and which is wrong, right? So yeah, man, it's awesome. Thank you so much. Honestly, I really appreciate you.
Excuse me. So Mujahid, if there's one thing that you want to tell, let's say the whole world is going to see this, what is one thing you'd want to say to everyone as like a father, a husband, everything, and a police officer?
We're
Put
human.
you on the spot.
We're human. We are all human. We bleed the same. We breathe the same. We eat the same, whether we eat the same food or not, but we eat the same. You know, we're all the same people. We're all one person. Just like you feel, I feel. Just like you feel, another officer feels. Just like you get upset, another officer gets upset. Just like there's bad apples there, there's bad apples here. It's just, you just got to realize we're human. We're not, like you said, we're not robots.
Right.
We try our best. I can guarantee you most officers that have taken that oath are here to do good. And just let us do good. That's what else can you say? Let me do good. Let me show you I can do good.
And let me show you I can do good as a citizen.
That's exactly it.
And let me show you that I can do good.
In the meantime, you got to win hearts and minds over. And I understand that. I'm sure many officers do understand that. And I'll put the effort in. Just don't push away. Let me do it.
Absolutely.
Because I'm going to be here whether you like it or not. I'll still be here. I'll still come to I'll come to every call. You need me, you want to take a picture, I'll take a picture.
That's right, man. That's amazing. I mean,
whatever it takes.
Let me tell you something. I could determine the difference between ugly and beautiful, right? And you're a good-looking guy. Can I ask you one thing? When girls ask you for your number, do you tell them 911? Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you, bro.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
So I received these comments on my videos multiple times, and I told myself I wouldn't address them, but I'll do it just this one time. So when I was young, I told myself that I wanted to be of service to the people. So for 10 or 11 years of my life, I volunteered my time at the local mosque that I went to. After that, I became an EMT to try to help people in any way I possibly can. Finally, when I was able to, I applied for and became a police officer. I don't care what race you are, I don't care what religion you believe in, I don't care where you come from, I don't care where you were born, and I don't care who you vote for. I treat everybody with the utmost respect and courtesy that you deserve. Is all law enforcement good? No. But I guarantee you, the majority of us are not the devils that you want us to be.